Paul Jones Drug is Elk City's most experienced compounding pharmacy, meaning they can custom make your prescription medications to your doctor's specifications, safely and effectively providing you with exactly what you need. And for your convenience, Paul Jones Drug has a drive-through pickup window as well as curbside service for testing and vaccinations, and offers free local delivery. Just a couple reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street in Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.
If you build it, he will.
It's the Skinny on Sports Podcast with Aaron Cow.
I throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Cow with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Welcome in, Skinny on Sports on 98.1 FM, 1240 AM, KADS. The Sports Animal, Jared Atha in studio. We have Aaron on the road. He is over at Weatherford for the 4A Boys State Golf Tournament, and he's going to be he'll be with us. He's with us right now, actually. And, Aaron, I just kind of took the reins here. I didn't know if you were going to talk or if I was, so I just went ahead and took care of it for you. Before we throw it out to you, big shout-out to Paul Jones Drug. It is a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday. We'll talk about Paul Jones Drug and Rodney Skinner and everything that they do over there on North Main. But right now, let's go ahead and throw it out over there in Weatherford. That's where Aaron's at. Like I said, he's at the 4A Boys Golf State Tournament, where day 2 is, it's already underway. Yesterday was day 1, had the perfect weather for it. So I guess we'll start right there, Aaron. How did everything go yesterday?
Yeah, it's more like western Oklahoma out here today than it was yesterday. The wind's kicking up out of the south. It has that feel of I didn't look at the weather because I forgot to do that before I left, but it has that feel, Jared, of a spring day in Oklahoma where there could be some thunderstorms later on. But no, yesterday was a gorgeous day. The golf course, if you haven't been over here, they did a bunch of irrigation stuff over the winter time here over the last few months. And it's a little bit scruffy, there's no doubt about that. But the greens look really good, really fast. I thought it played pretty well. So far, team-wise, the Oklahoma Christian School Saints, 580. They got a 4-shot lead over Heritage Hall. And then you find the Elk City Elks tied for third with Holland Hall at 623. So it's kind of, I think, 2 different tournaments today. You got the tournament for first and second, and then you got the tournament to see who gets third with Cassia Hall 1 shot behind that 2-way tie for third. So, it's pretty interesting the way this is set up because yesterday Oklahoma Christian Schools and Heritage Hall played so well that they separated themselves by 40 shots over the next closest combatants. But then that next closest is all with the 3 teams within 1 shot of each other. So it's kind of a race for first and also a race for third, the way this thing breaks down as a team. Individually, no surprise here, but Ryder Cowan leads the pack. Ryder shot 135 yesterday, which was 67-68. That's 7 under par. A lot of people out our way familiar with Ryder. He grew up in Elk City, grew up out at Elk City Golf and Country Club. They moved to the Edmond area. Gosh, he was probably a 5th or 6th grader, something like that. It's been that long ago. So Ryder is signed to go to play golf at OU next year. So no surprise that he played well. He's got a 2-shot lead over Heritage Hall's Ben Lathrop, who shot 69-68. So that's a 5-under total for 2 rounds. He's in second, a shot ahead of Bryant Polehill, who was Ryder's teammate at Oklahoma Christian Schools at 138. That's 4-under. He had a pair of 69s. And then you find Big Elk senior Mason Schmidt in 4th place all alone at 139, which is 3 under par. Mason shot 1 under 70 and 2 under 69 yesterday. So, it's interesting that those top 4 there that I just named individually are all seniors, all from the west side of the state. And if you're not familiar how the All-State works, the top 2 seniors from each side of the state will be All-Staters in this golf tournament. So there's a lot to play for here, not only as a team for the Big Elks, but also Mason right there on the cusp of being in the conversation or having a good enough score today for All-State. So it'll be there's a lot to look forward to here this afternoon at Prairie West. And of course, we'll have live video updates on Big Elk TV. Those will start as soon as we get the show done, and then give you an idea of where the Elks stand, where they stand individually going in and throughout the final round here today at Prairie West and Weatherford. The other scores for the Elks, senior Nathan Womack shot a 76 and a 74. You had Tristan Dunn with 83-81. Braden Duncan shot 90-80, and Keaton Twyman had a 96 and then a 93 in the afternoon. The Elks were one of the only teams to get stronger in the second round than what they were in the first round. As they went into the second round after a 319 in round one, in sixth place and almost in eighth. They were just a couple of shots ahead of eighth, and then they vaulted up the leaderboard after a 304 yesterday afternoon. But everybody else fell back. The Elks came up, and so that's why they find themselves in that tie for third going into this final round today.
I want to go back. You touched on it, the playing conditions. Yesterday, like I said, was beautiful, but for those who don't know, last week they played the girls' state tournament over there, the 4A girls' state tournament, and then there's even maybe some rain that blew on through. So is the course holding up okay? Any signs of wear and tear?
I mean, nothing that wasn't here before any of that happened. I mean, there's been a lot of work done over here with irrigation and with drainage, and there's definitely scars on this golf course from that haven't been able to be healed because of the lack of rain and the lack of heat so far in the spring. And so, there's a lot of different places where there's ground under repair, where there won't be come, if this was a year from now, and when everything would have grown in over the work that was done. But, you're allowed to move it off of those things. So I don't think it's not affecting anything, to be quite honest. The greens are fine. The greens are actually very, very quick when you watch them roll. They got firmer and I think that was probably the thing. As the afternoon wore on, the wind picked up just a little bit at times. The heat, it was hot yesterday, had to have been in the 90s somewhere. And so you're talking about the greens drying out, and I think that played to Elk City's advantage because that's exactly the way the greens are at home. They get firm, they get fast, and so I think Elk City, as a team and as individuals, were very comfortable with those conditions yesterday afternoon, and it showed. One anecdote that I watched. The Elks teed off on number 10, which par 3 heads back straight to the west, right along the road. There's out of bounds left, just a few steps off the left side of the green. Yesterday morning, Braden Duncan, on his first hole, hit a couple of his tee shots out of bounds and ended up making a 9. 6 over par in your first hole of the state tournament. Obviously not good, and it's kind of a little bit unsettling. So yesterday afternoon on number 3, so you go par 3, a par 5 that goes back along the soccer fields to the left if you played over here at Weatherford. Then you go short par 4 back toward the rodeo arena. And so he made a par on 10, which it was 6 shots better than the score he made the first round. And then he birdied 11 and chipped in for birdie on 12. And as he was walking by me to the 13th tee, he goes, "Man, I'm already 13 better than I was in the first round." So a definite change there in the afternoon. I thought that was pretty funny that he had already calculated that up in his head. Like, man, this is awesome. I'm way better this round than I was last round. So, and he carried it on through. And I think, looking back, the Elks, they're the third best team here. They just didn't play like it in round one. If they go out and play just a normal round of golf, there's 20 shots ahead of third and probably 20 shots behind first. You know what I'm saying? But they all kind of played bad at the same time outside of Mason in round one. And so now they're going to have to scratch and claw to get themselves on the podium, which I fully expect they will this afternoon.
Very good. So they've already teed off and only round one, or one round today, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Nathan was teeing off as I was walking up from the parking lot. And so, the Elks are out there in round 3. Then there will be a group of individuals that qualified for state in between the Elks and then the final wave of teams. It was interesting because I was curious how the tie would be broken, because you have Oklahoma Christian, you have Heritage Hall 1 and 2. Well, they go off in threesomes, right? And so Elk City and Hall tied team score-wise exactly for third at 623. So my question was, what's the tie break to get into that final group? No one knew it at the time, but I was sitting right here. I'm looking out at number 9 green from the back porch of the clubhouse, right here, right now. And I was sitting there shooting a video when Nathan tapped his ball into the hole, finished his round before Holland Hall's one back, which means Elk City was in first with 623, but there was no way to know that, right? At the time, you had no idea whether or not that matters. I'm curious to find out. Coach Stevens thought it might have been the 5-bag scores is how the tie was broke, but he wasn't 100% for sure. But as far as if this was on the PGA Tour and the way that those rules work, Elk City would still be waiting to tee off because they would have been in the final group as opposed to Holland Hall, who is in it with whatever the tiebreak was to get them there after yesterday's round.
All right, very good. And looking ahead at the weather over there, and you have 1,000 tabs open. There we go. I'm sure is it cloudy there like it is here? Cloudy, foggy, misty a little bit.
The fog broke about Canute, probably on the drive over where it's clear. It's cloudy. It's clear. It's a little bit breezy out of the south, and I think that's going to just continue to freshen as the day goes on. But it's comfortable for sure. It's a comfortable temperature. I think the cloud cover might help out, keep the temperatures down. I mean, it got hot yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, it did.
Some of the teams Elk City played with Holland Hall and Lincoln Christian, both kind of eastern side of the state teams, and they were commenting how hot it was, and I'm sitting there going, you know what, and how breezy it is. And I thought, wow, if you think this is breezy, everybody from over here is enjoying this.
Yeah, that's a breeze. It's not a wind, it's a breeze. It's nothing. Yeah, well, according to this...
Nobody over here even realized it was blowing.
Yeah, right? Yeah. According to this, sunshine is supposed to break through afternoon in the 1-2 o'clock area, but by then, I don't know pace of play with everything over there. What time do you think they could be wrapping up? About mid-afternoon at the latest?
Ought to be getting pretty close about then, at least with Elk City. And they've already got everybody out on the course at 9 o'clock or a little bit before. So, 4 hours later, 4.5, it's 1 o'clock, 1:30. I would imagine that everything would be decided and wrapped up, barring playoffs, let's say, by 3 o'clock. I think with that another group back another hour, you're looking at somewhere in that 1:30 to 3 o'clock area for Elk City to be done, and then by 3, I think everybody will be done, and we'll have definitive results of who is the team champ and who is the individual champ here at the 4A State Golf Tournament.
Right. And the point to all this is I don't think the weather's going to have any kind of effect on.
No,
it's not going to be too hot. This is actually really nice golf weather, if you ask me. With the
just wind.
Yeah, just wind. But again,
wind.
We're used to that. But I think with the way the scores are shaping up, like you said earlier, it's a matter of a tournament for first and a tournament for third. And Elk City in a good position, though, to finish at the top, or if not one of the top 3 in the state. So, again, you're going to have updates throughout the day on Big Elk TV.
That's right. Big Elk TV. Probably do kind of as soon as we get done here, probably do kind of a pre-game, videos.
Yep.
Just to basically recap what I just did, let everybody know what the standings are heading into the final round. And then once we get to 11 o'clock, I should have some videos and hopefully maybe even some 9-hole scores. With Keaton Twyman teeing off around 8:15. They ought to be making the turn right through here where I can see what they shot on the front 9 and get ready to go to the back 9.
All right. We'll come back towards the end of the hour and kind of recap what you just told us and what we can look forward to throughout the rest of the day. Let's stay with high school sports. The 4A baseball bracket is set. We were waiting for one game yesterday to take place. That was between Salisal and Oologah, and it looked like, for all intents and purposes, that it was going to be Salisal's a win right there. But then here comes Oologah. They had a 6-run bottom of the 6th inning and to take an 8-6 lead. And Salisal could not push any runs across in the top of the 7th, and that would do it. So Oologah will be Elk City's opponent. I'm going to run down chronologically the 4A bracket and the quarterfinals starting on Thursday, 11 a.m., Tuttle and Fort Gibson, followed by, like I just said, Elk City and Oologah around 1:30. If we first pitch at 1:30, we're on. That impresses me. I don't know why they said that never happens at that time. Pryor and Blanchard at 4 o'clock, and Cushing and Lone Grove at 6:30. So if Elk City is fortunate enough to get a win, possible matchup again with Tuttle in the semifinal, or Fort Gibson, which they're playing pretty good themselves. But let's not kid ourselves. Tuttle's a pretty dang good team. So I'm sure you've seen this bracket. Anything stand out to you? I mean, this is kind of what we expected.
Yeah, I mean, the Elks are the only team that was a district champion that will not play a district champion in the first round. Verdigris was the only district champion to not make it out of their regional, which was won by Oologah. So, you could look at that a myriad of different ways. But fact is, Elk City doesn't have to play in that first round, the team that won their district. And they're the only ones that have that advantage going into Thursday. I'm excited. You were there last year, and you saw Fort Gibson and Tuttle, and Fort Gibson was right there and probably thought they should have won that game. And here's the deal. They have a dude that's going to OSU that'll be on the hill of Big Lefty. So that's going to be for a team that probably ranked 1, 2, or 3 in the state would be my guess. If you just started ranking them, Tuttle would be near the top. That's a tough first-round draw to have to face the Tigers and that strong arm that they're going to have from the left side. So that will be an interesting opener. It's always one of those, the dilemma we talked about yesterday with Oak City having a couple of really good pitchers. What order do you throw those in, and that kind of thing. But here's something that I was actually talking to Jay last night, watching the Crushers play, and something that's kind of on his mind as well, and it has to be, is rain.
Yes.
What would do you? Is it easier to just throw cash out there on Thursday because of what the rain looks like? Say you can get Thursday's game. Say you get Thursday in, then it starts raining, and who knows when you get to play again? And does he exhaust the rest time and get and eligible to throw again? So that's another thing that I think has to factor in to these coaches' decisions.
Such a gamble, though. Such a gamble, right?
Gamble for what? To throw your best pitcher in game one.
Well, that's what I'm leaning that. You throw your best available.
No, I'm saying you throw him Thursday.
Right.
There might be a chance you get to throw him again because of rain.
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about that.
But if you're on the side of saving an arm, and no,
that's not what I'm saying. No, that it takes saving the rain chances and probabilities almost take. In my mind, it almost takes saving him out of play because the rain might save him, or get him to throw another game. So I think that's something that's got to weigh on your mind as well. Where we might get chances of getting Thursday in look pretty decent, but what about Friday? And then Friday spills into Saturday, then Sunday. And then on first of next week it's supposed to be raining.
Well, here's the
deal.
What
I'm saying is, Mother Nature might make your decision for you, or you throw the horse in game one. And you might just get him back for game 2 or game 3 if you were able to make it that far.
When I watch the news, only thing I'm watching anymore is just the weather.
Yeah.
And so the latest, and I noticed this morning that the probability for rain in the Edmond area kind of went down for Thursday. Actually, I think we're okay on Thursday. Looking at it right now, mostly sunny and 13% chance of rain. Friday, partly cloudy, 20% chance of rain, but here's the thing. Friday's game, if they were to win that the quarterfinal game, would be at 4 o'clock, so late afternoon. The timing of the rain is going to play in a factor there on Friday because Friday's 20%, Friday night's 31%, so you got to wonder when does that percentage of chance of rain go up, and could that affect, and we say 4 o'clock. Now, like I said earlier, I mean, it is the first game, but there are other games too there. Am I wrong?
No.
Edmond Memorial's only 4A's only at Edmond Memorial. No one else. So that would be a hard time. First pitch, 4 o'clock. No delays
you're
involved.
Talking about Friday. Okay, you're talking
about Friday. Yes.
The only one I would assume yes, but the one bracket that's not out there yet is 2A for the state tournament, and I do know that originally Elk City was scheduled to play on Friday if they were to win on Thursday at 11. Was the original schedule on the bracket. They changed that because of 2A is going to go first at 11 on Saturday, so they didn't want 2A to have to play late then early, late Friday, early Saturday. So I don't know if they're at Edmond Memorial or not because I haven't seen that bracket.
Okay.
But I do know that the times were changed for Elk City's possible semifinals because of Class 2A. And I'm just not 100% sure. I know that 3A, where's 3A? They're at,
I think it's
Seminole. But it's not Edmond Memorial.
No,
Seminole State College, maybe.
I think that's right. I just had that clicked.
Yeah, 2A. Okay, yeah, 2A
Seminole State. Yeah.
2A semifinals are at Edmond Memorial.
They are.
So that's what happened. Instead of the Elk City game being at 11, and the say Blanchard and Lone Grove being at 1:30, and then their final being at 5, they switched that. So 2A is going to play at 11 and 1:30. So there is no hard time on that 4 o'clock. There's no telling where that could happen. Which, by the way, if it's later, could benefit the Elks once again. If like you say, the rain chances are better the later on in the afternoon or evening it gets.
And while we're at it, we'll look at Saturday's forecast for Oklahoma City. Now that's the rain. That's where we got to worry. That game would be at what time? We just said it. 5 o'clock. Oh, boy. 58% basically all day and night on Friday and Saturday in Oklahoma City. Mixed clouds, sun with scattered thunderstorms. And you know how that works out this time of year in Oklahoma. Be right on you. It could be 10 miles away with sunshine. So it flip a coin, but we'll see what we get. So right now, though, Thursday, playing at 1:30 against Oologah, the Mustangs. Now, looking at Oologah, just a quick little look ahead at them. I'm sure we'll really break it down tomorrow before Thursday. 24-12 on the season, but they are on a little bit of a heater here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wins out of their last 12. And that loss came against Salisal in the regional tournament. And like I said, they're able to come back and avenge it and not punch their ticket into the state tournament. And by the way, they beat Verdigris, a team Elk City played last year in the quarterfinals. They beat them 14-13 in extra innings, and they ended their season in their regionals. So again, Oologah playing some pretty good baseball here at the right time of the year. So it's not just one of those opponents where, Elk City is what they are. They're really, really good, but Oologah is a team that's coming in a little bit hot. Just saying, Elk City, I just hope they wouldn't overlook them, and I don't think they will.
Yeah, you wonder what the game yesterday did pitching-wise for them.
That's true.
Maybe it might have helped get an arm back for yesterday, but does it then hurt who they would want to start coming up on Thursday? You just never know exactly how that works. Jay thought it was either their 1 or 2 that threw yesterday. And so, that eliminates that person from being able to throw on Thursday, depending on the amount of pitches. But he thought that the starter went enough pitches to where the Thursday would not be an option for whoever that was. So,
yeah, I'm trying to bring up yesterday's stats. Should have had that ready to go just to see how many arms they threw. Like you said, I don't think I'm going to get lucky here. Oh, there we go. Okay. And by the way, wild game. I was texting you. I was like, well, it looks like it might be Oologah. And then they were up. Or Salisal was up 6-2 going into that 6th inning. Then, like I said, Oologah had that 6-run bottom of the 6th. They just came alive. I'm sure Salisal was scrambling with their pitching. But looking at Oologah, they only pitched one guy.
Yeah.
With the full 7.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so depending on the number of pitches, you would assume that that takes that guy out for Thursday. Just having 3 days rest in between. Yeah, that you'd assume that person is not going to be available to Oologah coming up on Thursday.
Should be fun. And a reminder, we will have a video stream of both the quarterfinal and we hope the semifinal on Big Elk TV, but due to OSSA regulations and restrictions, we cannot stream it live on Saturday, knocking on wood if we're there at Bricktown, but we can record it, or we can have an audio-only stream, and we can also record it and upload it 48 hours later. So we are arranging all of that to happen. in the event that we are playing on Saturday. So just something I want to push across so our phones aren't blowing up on Saturday wondering why we can't watch. So we'll reiterate that as the week goes on. Let's take a break, and we got a lot to cover. We can talk about the Lakers are looking like, dare I say, contenders. Taking a 3-1 lead over the Warriors last night, 104-101. We'll break that down, talk a little bit about that coming up. It is the Skinny on Sports on the Animal. Don't go anywhere.
Paul Jones Drug offers a free service that makes taking your daily medications safe and easy. It's called convenience packaging, meaning they can combine all of your daily medications and put them in sealed, separate daily packages. This process replaces you from having to fill your daily medication dispenser. And as always, Paul Jones Drug prepares individual blister packaging for long-term care patients. With their drive-through window, curbside service, and free local delivery, it's just more reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street in Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.
The Skinny on Sports.
Welcome back, Skinny on Sports, 98.1 FM, 1240 AM, KADS, the Sports Animal. It is a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday, where we thank Rodney Skinner for helping us out on this Tuesday. They do a lot over there. Experience Compounding. They're the oldest compounding pharmacy in Elk City. Free local delivery, drive-through pickup, curbside testing and vaccinations, long-term care unit packaging. Those are blister packs. We've talked about what those are. Those are so cool. Where they will, instead of you having to fill your own pill caddy every Sunday, don't. Go golf on a Sunday. Let Paul Jones Drug fill your quote-unquote pill caddy. They're called blister packs, where they put all the pills in one day. They seal them up. They label them each day. You just rip it open, take your pills on that day. You're good to go. Convenience packaging, that's what that is. That's exactly what that is. I messed that up. That's the convenience packaging. That's not the blister packs. DME durable medical equipment. We're talking walkers, canes, crutches. I think Sean went down there and got himself some canes. Gifts and greeting cards. Most insurance is accepted. 809 North Main Street. That's Paul Jones Drug. Care you can trust. Call them up, 580-225-2121. Before we jump over to the NBA, final note on high school. Did you see the I noticed it this morning, and I don't know when this happened, if it happened yesterday, because there were a lot of rain-delayed games. Like one of those was obviously the Sallisaw and Ulaga game. Aaron, did you see the high school game? I think it was OCS and I think it might have been Bethel, and they played over at Oklahoma Christian University, where they're shaking hands at the end of the game. And I think it was the Bethel player, who had shorts on, by the way. Didn't look like he was in the game. Just sucker punches an OCS catcher. Just sucker punches him. And cooler heads prevailed. The umps were still there, thankfully, to kind of. And then the Bethel coach got in front of his player and was just visibly upset. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. But that is becoming such a common occurrence right now. It feels like every other day you see something with the handshake line and somebody doing something stupid, and next thing you know, there's a brawl going on.
Yeah, I was efforting the backstory on that. From what I could find out was, and I'm going to make sure I don't want to say the wrong school name. I think it was Oklahoma Christian School. This is a 3A regional, by the way. Let me make sure it is, because OCS had won. It was Bethel. They won 5-2.
Yeah, OCS is in the state tournament. I saw that bracket yesterday.
Yeah, they won 5-2. They basically split or took 2 of 3 from Bethel to win that whole thing. So the backstory I got was the young man that threw the punch was in the game, and before a pitch, he's calling for time. He didn't get it. Pitch came. It was a called strike. He was upset, started verbally yelling at the umpire. The catcher stood up and got between him and the umpire to basically tell him to shut your mouth. And then the young man from Bethel got tossed. So that's why he was in shorts. He went and just got down into shorts, got out of his sliding pants, and then the punch happened on the catcher. So then I saw some of the remarks on Twitter, on social media, was 2 things. One, kudos that the umps and his crew were still out there. Still, because most umps and crews, as soon as the game's over, they run off the field. They're done. And so they're kind of there mediating the handshake line, which I think that's good. And that was good, obviously, because they were right there to make sure none of the other teams got into it. And it looked like the other teammates wanted nothing to do with that. You know what I mean? None of them wanted to get in a fight. They were like, what is going on? And then people from out of state, because, again, this thing went viral in a hurry, people were saying, wait a minute, you guys still do a handshake line? We haven't done that in years. What we do, we go out and we shake our teammates' hands. But to avoid, because this has become a problem where there's been altercations like that in the handshake line after the game, which I'll admit, I was kind of holding my breath when Chickasha and Elk City were handshaking after that game last week. Do you still agree with the handshake line?
Here's the deal. I think as an athlete and as a man, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to the person that just kicked your butt to go shake their hand and tell them a good job.
Agreed.
And it's a couple of bad apples that are too sour losers and not man enough to go do the right thing that is ruining it for everybody. It's that simple to me, is you ought to be able to man up and go tell the other the person that just kicked your butt, good job. It's just, to me, that's always been the way it should be in sports. I think sports teaches you that. Now, I get it that we're getting into this kind of era in our society where we don't have kids that are man enough to do it. It's simple as that, and it's sad that something that ought to be a life lesson giver, and that is, you have to know everybody can be a good winner, right? But what shows your integrity and your manliness is being a good loser. That's one of the things that people loved about Jack Nicklaus. How good a loser he was. Right. And guess what? He wasn't a loser. He's got the best career of all time in golf. So don't give me this crap about, if you teach your kid to be a good loser, he's just going to be a loser. Bull crap. You're talking about the greatest golfer of all time in the record books that was a great loser, and that didn't make him a loser. He was still a damn good winner. So that it frustrates me every time you see this crap, and it's because it's just kids are soft. It's just the bottom line. You know what I mean? It's just there's no other way to say it. Kids are soft, and they're so pampered, and they're so spoiled that they don't know how to act when they don't get their way. And it's the same thing with this. They don't know how to act when they get their butt kicked. And that's just a reflection upon where we're at with parenting, where we're at with society, and even some coaching. That stuff goes on, and it's just a shame because like you said, everybody else on that baseball team for Bethel didn't want any part of that crap.
No, they didn't. But
one spoiled brat runs it for the entirety of the Bethel baseball program because now they have that stigma about them.
Yeah, and I'll put this plea out there: stop posting it. Because
that's not going to happen.
I know, but it's like a norm now. Every day I wake up, I look, and there's a fight. There's some kind of not just baseball, but there's that's cool. Let's record these people fighting and posting it. But when it comes to baseball, they think, it's okay because I see it all the time. Let's quit glorifying this stuff. But you're right. It's never going to stop. But and the funny thing, and I say funny thing kind of loosely, but when you watch it. And I've watched it over and over again. The young man that threw the punch, he threw it, and the kudos to the catcher. I mean, he even had all his gear on and everything, which I say advantage him, right? I mean, he could take a few punches
right.
and he'd be okay. He ran out of there. He took the punch, and he's like, what's going on? And he got out of there. Like, I'm getting out of this. Because he probably thought the whole team's about to pounce on me. And, again, Bethel, the whole team was like, what is this? What's going on? And the kid who threw the punch, you immediately saw regret. His body language, his shoulders slumped, like, what did I just do? And then kudos to the Bethel coach. He went over there and just kind of pointed at the dugout. I was like, get in the dugout. And you could tell he was furious with him. But unfortunate. And once again, we see something like this happen. But then again, those comments like, should we shake hands? Shouldn't we shake hands? But I'm with you. I mean, you can become a winner by being a good loser. You know, it shapes you almost more than winning. Is how you lose.
Here right here at a golf tournament, and I mean that's one of the coolest things about that. Those guys, you see it on TV. Those guys battle it out for 72 holes or 18 holes, and when they get done, what do? They take their hats off, they shake each other's hands, and congratulate them on a job well done. It's just, right. Maybe it's not for every sport, but it should be. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not, because we saw a bunch of things. We saw things in the women's college basketball tournaments, not just boys, not just men.
Yeah.
We saw that in the women's tournament, a couple of different things where there's sucker punches taken. So maybe it's not every sport, which is too bad. I mean, to me, if you can have dudes out there doing what they do in football for 60 minutes or 48 minutes in the high school game, just pounding on each other, and they can go through a handshake line and everything. It's funny, isn't it? You never really see anything in that, do you?
No.
It doesn't feel like we've ever seen a real major issue in a football handshake line. Sometimes the coaches in the NFL or college might get heated with each other a little bit, but you rarely see that. And now here we are. It feels like every other day right now in some of these spring sports where we're seeing this stuff all over the country. All right, that was that's the bad of what happened yesterday, right?
Right.
Let's talk about the good, because before we got to anything else, I wanted to point this out.
Okay.
How about the year Fort Cobb had, huh?
Oh my goodness! Oh! How did we forget that? Yes.
It's impossible to have a better year in Class B than what Fort Cobb just did. The triple crown, as it were, of state championships.
That's right.
I believe they beat Roth in the fall baseball final.
Yes, 9-4. Yes.
Now that was yesterday.
Yeah. Oh, I think you're right. I think you're right.
I think it was the same two teams in the fall baseball championship game, and Fort Cobb won that one too. And then, of course, they knocked off Calumet in the basketball state championship game. So kudos to Fort Cobb. I mean, that is an unbelievable year for the Mustangs. Maybe we shouldn't be surprised when there's two Willitses on that baseball team, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
With Jackson headed to OU next year, but that's a fantastic year for Fort Cobb. It's literally as good as you can do in Class B with two baseballs and the basketball state championship. So kudos to the Mustangs there. We're used to them racking them up in basketball with Coach Hines, but if you go take a look at that baseball, it's been pretty darn good too. It almost gets a little bit overshadowed by what basketball does, I think. But the Mustangs baseball program isn't very far off being right there with what Coach Hines and the basketball group does.
No, they're it's amazing. And I talked about setting standards, and their standards isn't just getting the state tournaments; it's winning them or playing for titles. And they just ran through this tournament. 12-0 over Vici, 11-3 over Tupelo. Then, like we said, beating Roth 9-4, and it's almost to the point when they got to the state championship games. I'm thinking, start engraving that trophy now, because Fort Cobb, they don't know how to lose state championship games in any sport when it comes to boys basketball, fall baseball, spring baseball. Kudos to them. And then you're just always sitting back thinking, okay, well maybe this is the year they finally graduate all that talent. Nuh-uh. They keep producing. They got a production or a program there that just is producing athletes at a high caliber year after year. And it's pretty impressive. It's something that shouldn't be ignored. That is good stuff.
No, there's no doubt.
Very good stuff.
No doubt about it. And then Rattan is your Class A state baseball champion. I think most people thought that's where that was headed. They were down there at Gulf Shores in the same tournament that Oak City was in. And they were fantastic down there. A small school against the bigger schools. I want to say, did they beat Stillwater in that tournament? They did. That's what I thought they did. And they were a little bit like the Elks, just one win shy of playing in that Final Four with all those teams. What do we end up counting? 70-something teams, I think, was down there. The Rattan Rams win the state championship in Class A. So good stuff. And it's hard to believe that we're literally like a handful of days from being done with the athletic calendar in 22, 23. Also, hey, I want to mention this too. The Elk City tennis team, the boys tennis team, is headed to state this weekend. I know there's the doubles team Cy Van, Sarah Booth, and Quinn Brewer were regional champs. I saw that result on some Facebook pages. And so, that'll be coming up this weekend as well with the boys' state tennis tournament in Oklahoma City.
And before we hop off high school athletics, the boys and girls soccer tournament continuing, state tournament continuing tonight. Locally, the Clinton boys taking on Metro Christian at 6 o'clock, all the way over at Metro Christian. On the other side, it's Bethany and Hilldale. Those are semifinal games. And in the girls, locally, Weatherford, it will be traveling to Holland Hall. And their semifinal matchup, and Woodward will be taking on Metro Christian. That one is at Woodward. Again, all happening tonight. And Clinton, man, looking for, 3 in a row? Is that right? 3 in a row.
That's right.
In the boys' side. And I just don't see anything stopping them. They look like the pretty good team. Only one loss in the year, and that was from a 6A school, I believe, without looking it up. Eugene Jefferson, man, the great thing about Eugene Jefferson, Coach Jay, is I read this somewhere, when he first started coaching soccer, he had no idea how to play. He knew nothing about soccer, and he had to learn it. And over time, he has become one of the best coaches in the state, or at least on the 4A level when it comes to coaching soccer, and those titles seem to prove that. Let's move on. NBA, a couple games last night. We'll start in the West. Lakers took a commanding 3-1 lead over Golden State, winning 104-101. Anthony Davis was 23 and 15. Curry for Golden State, 31 points and 10 rebounds and 14 assists. Man, dare I say the Warriors dynasty is coming to an end, or can they still come back from this? What do you think?
Well, it doesn't look like it. Is it possible? Klay Thompson has not been what he was since the injuries, right? I mean, he was such a great number 2 before he got hurt. And since he's come back from those injuries, it feels like his attitude has changed. And maybe he is trying a little bit too hard to get more of the glory. I mean, that shot he took last night toward the end, 35-footer, was just atrocious. But it just seems like when you listen to him talk, when you see his demeanor on the floor, it almost feels like here in the latter stages of his career, after the injury, when he knows he's not what he used to be, he's trying to. It's almost like he's trying to steal some of the limelight for his legacy away from Steph, because everybody just kind of crowns Steph the way they should. But it seems like Klay's attitude has been a little bit more me first since he's come back from his injuries, and last night was a perfect example of that. Just a horrid shot down the stretch there. It's a 35-footer for absolutely no reason when the Warriors had the lead. Kudos to the Lakers, man. That trade that they made at the deadline, shipping off Westbrook and getting in guys that fit what they needed them to fit to play the game the way they need to play the game, was genius, and it turned their season around. I wonder how much of an example or a lesson this is going to be for teams around the league of being more cognizant of how guys fit together, how their games fit together, as opposed to just trying to create a fantasy basketball team with a bunch of big name stars. It obviously didn't work in L.A. With the Lakers, and I think the catalyst of it was that trade, shipping Westbrook out, but not necessarily just because of Russ, but getting pieces that fit in what they need them to do around LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Yeah, and I never thought that shipping off Russ and retaining Reeves would be a good thing, but Austin Reeves had 21 last night on 7 and 15 shooting. He hit three-pointers. That guy, how do you compute? I don't understand. This guy wasn't anything special in college. He was a nice player when he was at Wichita State and then OU. But could you ever see that trajectory with this guy, Austin Reeves, on a team that could be competing for a world title?
Not necessarily, but here's the thing. What he does well fits perfectly around LeBron and Anthony Davis. Austin Reeves can shoot. Austin Reeves is a smart player. He can make things happen, and when the space that's created by playing with those other guys, his job becomes pretty easy at the end of the day. I mean, nobody's asking him to play isolation basketball against Draymond Green and try to go get a bucket down the stretch. That's not his role. That's what Anthony Davis or LeBron will do. And so I just think it's such a cautionary tale. But the teams never learn, right? They always think, okay, we can put these guys together and we'll be the ones where it works. Mm-hmm. You know, when you think about the teams with 3 stars, right? It worked in Golden State because Kevin Durant's game is so adaptable. He can play with anybody. I firmly believe that. Of all the super-duper stars out there, Kevin Durant can play with anybody, even more than say LeBron. I mean, think about it. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook worked. LeBron James and Russell Westbrook didn't.
Yeah.
And it's because I think that KD he's just so talented and he's so adaptable and flexible with what he does that you can put him about anywhere and it works. But of the 3, you know, it worked in Miami with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, but Dwayne Wade had to sacrifice and hand the reins over to LeBron. Where else has it really worked with 3?
That's a great good
it was
point.
a disaster in Brooklyn
Yeah.
with Kyrie, KD, and Harden. You know, it almost feels like, and Jim mentioned this on Monday, when you look at who's still left, especially out west, I think they've kind of figured out now that the Lakers made that trade, you can do it with just 2.
Yeah.
But you have to have the right guys around those 2.
Well, look at Embiid and Harden. You know, it's working.
Mm-hmm.
It's working there with just those 2 with other pieces
Tatum and Brown
Yeah.
in Boston.
Yep.
You know, but when you get that third, and especially if it's a third person that needs the ball, if it's a third guy that has to have the ball in their hands, that's when things go south. And that's why I say Durant was so good, because he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands all the time. You know, he can create shots for himself by moving away from the basketball and doesn't have to have it in his hands. You know, and to me, that's why it was so devastating in Golden State, because Curry's that way, Thompson's that way. You know, they were all 3 guys that at that level didn't have to just pound the basketball out front the way that Harden did back in those days of James Harden. So I think, you know, the bargaining agreement, the TV deals, the salary cap, it's all about to explode and get higher. And we'll see if these teams learn their lesson.
Yep.
And are able to kind of mold, if it's instead of the 3-headed monster, if it becomes a 2-headed template, and then you work around from there to fill in the gaps with capable players.
Before we move on to Miami, because I know we're pressed on time, real quick, final thought about this. When I say that the dynasty could be coming to an end for Golden State, a lot of people kind of scoff at that. Say, well, they've lost series before and come back and win a title the next year. But this could be it, because Draymond Green, it's just the smoke of him moving on to the Lakers in the offseason. It seems like there's some fire there. Could that be a bad thing for the Lakers? You talk about, you know, bringing in, you know, it's the 2-piece that's working better than the 3-piece. You put him on a team with LeBron. You put him on a team with LeBron and AD. I mean, that seems like that could be pretty detrimental for the Lakers.
Well, not me, because Draymond can play multiple ways, and Draymond doesn't need the ball to be a good player. And you know, he's a little bit like Dennis Rodman in that way, to where he can influence and affect the game in such a positive manner and never touch the ball, or never get it passed to him anyway. He touches it by, you know, making steals or getting rebounds or that kind of thing. But it just seems to me like Draymond is one of those guys that can morph into about whatever you want him to be on the floor as a basketball player, he can be.
But I meant more like of the dynamics of his attitude, and you know, could he mesh well with LeBron, you know, off court, and then you see what I'm saying? It's just the attitude it just feels like, good night, that could be a train wreck.
It's one of those, once again, I mean, it's 95% positive, but does the 5% where he's negative make the difference, because for the most part, you don't hear much about Draymond. But when you do, he does something really stupid, either punching Jordan Poole in the face, what we saw the other day. So his bad is awful. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So will that overtake the good that he does? It's possible, but at the same time, I also think that he has grown up enough and he wants to win enough to where he realizes that it's LeBron and it's LeBron's team, and if I go there, there's kind of a legacy here not to ruin, and he's used to being there too with Steph.
Real quick, because we got to get a break in, but we'll just touch on over in the East. The Heat beating the Knicks last night. They take a 3-1 lead in that series. The Heat, I talked about heaters earlier. They seem like they could be one of the hottest teams right now. They were kind of nothing coming into the playoffs. No one had any expectations for them. Right now, they're on the verge of getting to the Eastern Conference Finals. Or is this just a product of, you're playing the Knicks?
Well, they had to beat the Bucks to get to the Knicks.
Sure.
But
sure.
how about? But think about this: the play-in. It's young. It's only a few years in its existence. But this is by far the best success that any play-in teams have ever had. We might have one in each conference into the finals, the conference finals, because as well as LA's playing right now, the Lakers, you kind of forget. Wait a minute, these guys were in the play-in.
That's
game.
right.
You know what I mean? And Miami, Miami lost the play-in game and had to beat the Bulls in a do or die, and now here they are, a win away from being in the Eastern Conference Finals. It's kind of strange because going into the year, I think a lot of people liked Miami.
Yeah.
As the if you weren't picking Boston and you weren't picking Milwaukee, I think a lot of people kind of gravitated toward Miami because nobody really trusts Philly, right? I mean, and so, but it took a long time. But maybe this is the Miami that a lot of people saw preseason. The expectations were pretty high down there. Lose Tyler Hero doesn't seem to matter. Somebody steps up. They got it's an incredible team because outside, of course, Jimmy Butler's been off the charts incredible, right? He's just been awesome. But outside of him and Bam hasn't necessarily been great. Who the heck are these guys? It's a totally different team. It's almost a little bit like the Lakers. The only reason we know the Lakers guys' names because it's the Lakers. But who is Austin Reeves? Who is Jared Vanderbilt? You know what I'm saying? If they're on other teams, you wouldn't even know who they are. And that's kind of the way it is with Miami right now. So it's a real interesting time in the league, team building wise, because we're seeing success from teams that have some guys that you wouldn't really expect, but they're in the perfect situation for the way they play with the right guys around.
Yes. Tonight, 76ers and Celtics square off at 6:30. That series tied 2-2. Also tied 2-2. Suns and Nuggets. A couple teams that feel like are going in the wrong direction, in the right direction, in opposite directions. The Suns and Nuggets should be a fun one. We got to take a break. We will come back and we will wrap up the show with kind of a recap of what's happening over there at Weatherford. That's why Aaron's on the road. He's over there at the 4A Boys Golf State Tournament. Keep it right here. It is a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday. Wrapping it up next. It's the Skinny on Sports on 98.1 FM, 1240 AM, KADS, the Sports Animal.
Paul Jones Drug is Elk City's most experienced compounding pharmacy, meaning they can custom make your prescription medications to your doctor's specifications, safely and effectively providing you with exactly what you need. And for your convenience, Paul Jones Drug has a drive-through pickup window as well as curbside service for testing and vaccinations and offers free local delivery. Just a couple reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street in Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.
The Skinny on Sports.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
Welcome back, Skinny on Sports. Wrapping it up here on a Tuesday. Jared 8th in studio. We have Aaron Cowk. He's on the road in Weatherford for a Boys Golf State Tournament. Only run one round today. Elk City with a chance to finish pretty high in the standings. Again, Aaron, kind of preview it for us. What are we looking forward to today over there in Weatherford?
Yeah, it's kind of two tournaments right now. Oklahoma Christian and Heritage Hall way out in front of the pack, so it's kind of a battle for first there, and then it's a battle for third behind them with Elk City and Hall tied for third with Cassia Hall one shot back. And then, of course, the individual race, Ryder Cowan of Oklahoma Christian 4 shots ahead of Mason Schmidt, who's in 4th, the Big Elk senior, trying to reel Ryder in. And then also, if that doesn't happen, there's still that All-State award out there if you can finish in the top 2 of the Western side seniors. So there's a lot to cover. I'm going to do a little pregame here as soon as we get off. I just saw Keaton Twyman come by on number 7, so that gives you an idea. The Elks probably about halfway through the front 9 right now, so hopefully by 11 o'clock we'll have score updates for you from the front 9, and then follow the rest of the action throughout the afternoon until this thing is over. I would anticipate somewhere between 2 and 3 o'clock we should know the full results of this Class 4A boys state golf tournament.
Very good. Again, Big Elk TV. Just stay following or check Big Elk TV all day long, and you get those updates right there on the golf tab, and you should see everything you want to see, and get some final scores about mid-afternoon. All right, I think that's going to wrap it up, Aaron. I'll go ahead and let you go. I know you got a busy day ahead of you. So, all right, take care. Big thanks to Aaron for calling in, being a part of the show. I know he's a very busy guy when it comes to doing this. This is a busy time of the year. It's a time of the year we kind of forget how busy it can get. We always get to football season and think we're busy, and of course basketball season tips off, and we're going all the way until early March, and then we think it's done after that. Not the case, because once baseball playoffs start, you got your golf state tournaments like we just talked about, soccer. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens this time of year, and then all of a sudden it just stops. It's a wild ride. Hey, thanks for everybody for tuning on in. Thanks again to Paul Jones Drug. Thank you to Rodney Skinner and everybody helping us out here on a Paul Jones Drug Tuesday on the Skinny on Sports. Don't forget, this show will be in podcast form coming up here in a few minutes. Follow us on Facebook. You get all the links for it right there. It's going to do it for me. Aaron back in studio tomorrow. Take care.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.
That ball is blistered to right. Way back. Goodbye.
Paul Jones Drug offers a free service that makes taking your daily medications safe and easy. It's called convenience packaging, meaning they can combine all of your daily medications and put them in sealed, separate daily packages. This process replaces you from having to fill your daily medication dispenser. And as always, Paul Jones Drug prepares individual blister packaging for long-term care patients. With their drive-through window, curbside service, and free local delivery, it's just more reasons you should choose Paul Jones Drug, 809 North Main Street in Elk City.
I'm Rodney Skinner with Paul Jones Drug, and I promise we provide care you can trust.